Greetings, Queens. My name is Dr. Crystal Michelle Omni, and thank you so very much for giving me maybe about 5 minutes of your time, maybe even 10, depending on how good this feels to me as I start talking. But thank you for just taking the time to listen. Listen to receive an invitation to be part of something that started before I was even born. And it sounds major because it is. So you see, my grandma, she wrote a series of passages inside of her Bible. I promise you, it sounds like a story, but this is 100% true. She wrote a series of passages on the inside of her Bible, and I have her Bible right behind me. And let me just go ahead and back up so you can see it. Let's see. So I have it reserved in this plastic, and I have my mama's Bible up here. But inside of my grandma's Bible were several nature-inspired references. And one of those references stated, "Never be afraid of trees. We will never leave you." So, as a backstory, I didn't have a close relationship with my grandma. I did not even know her very well because she was the deepest, darkest secret of our family. That is a story for a later time when we're in a more intimate gathering, and I could tell you all about that. But I am the baby of four, and my brother, who is the oldest, is 18 years older than me. And when I asked him about grandma, those were the words that he gave me. He said he didn't really know either. She was the deepest, darkest secret of the family. And my mama, who I was very, very, very close to, never really talked about her mama. So imagine my surprise when my grandma decided to start visiting me in my dreams. And she was tapping on my shoulder to say, "Tell my story." 100% true. I'll tell you more when we're in like I said, a one-on-one or a small group gathering. But part of telling her story required me to go to her Bible. And don't even ask me how I got this Bible, because my mama died in 2016 and she had it. And I don't know how it got passed to her, because when I read inside, it said that it was gifted to my grandma in 1971. I was born in 1974. And it was gifted to her on Mother's Day. So to be able to share this invitation with you in May in 2026, after all these decades later, to bring grandma's words and grandma's Bible back into this conversation. But one of the passages that she wrote has been a pure vibration of telling her story and telling the stories of other Black women. And I'm particularly fond of Black grandmothers. So this invitation is mainly to you if you identify as a Black elder woman, 60 plus, and especially if you're a grandma. So what she wrote was, "Never be afraid of trees. We will never leave you." I have a PhD in art education. My research was all about nature engagement and Black women's health. So when I saw her passage and I knew what I was studying, it was magic in 2021. Maybe it was even late 2020. But that magic was kind of like low level on the surface here. But in 2023, when I finished my PhD and I started my postdoc, I started designing a new study. And that study was called Sitting with Trees, an eco-autoethnographic research study about about optimal aging and Black womanhood. And I had 2 research participants in that pilot study in 2024 in Sarasota, Florida, and your very own Gloria Lambert Ragsdale was one of them. So as you have questions about the experience, ask the resident expert. But what I'm inviting you to do is to go on an adventure with me and with us. And with us means the Omni Institute of Wellbeing, which is a nonprofit organization that really focuses on gathering the stories of Black women, turning that into research, utilizing that as archival studies, because we're gathering your stories, but your stories can then get shared out to the masses, whatever it is that you want to share. Okay, so if you want to keep something private, 100% true, 100% you. But as we gather stories in this archival system and we gather stories through a research lens, we then take your stories and add scholarship to it. My dissertation, my postdoc did just that. I gathered the stories utilizing a process called the Omni process. It's a new methodology that includes 5 steps, and you would be invited to participate in all 5 of those steps. But the most important step is, like, how did I get here? That's step number 1, asking that question. So I have a team of research mentees and interns and associates that would join me on this adventure to sit with you and go through those 5 steps, but focusing on that first question. And it's a 2-part question. Sounds tricky, right? So it's 1 sentence, but it's 2 parts. How did I, so that question on identity, who are you? How are you showing up today? How are you going to participate in this experience? And here can be geographical, like Kansas City, Missouri. Here could be emotional, like my heart was heavy the other day when I couldn't just reach out and call my mama. Here could be a number of things. Even ask Gloria. One of the things she talked about for her here was to be an orphan. Emotional spaces, y'all. We're going to cover a lot, but there's healing in discovery. There's healing in telling the stories. And you don't have to trust me. Ask Gloria. She'll give you all the details of what it was like. Now, the difference between what Gloria went through and what you'll go through is that we got a book contract. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We have a book contract to turn your stories into an anthology and to put it out into the world. And not just put it out into the world, but also put it into classrooms. And there's so many layers to this that I want to just give you all the details now, but I don't also want to overwhelm you. But ask Gloria about elders in residence. That's where this whole cycle comes back around, where we sit with you to get your stories. We add scholarship to your stories. We put your stories in the classroom for undergraduate students to participate in a course called Sitting with Trees, Nature, Memory, and Black Elder Wisdom. And in that class, they engage with your story. It becomes one of the modules. And it also inspires them to identify an elder in their life so that they can continue the process with them. Archival research, collecting of the stories and supporting it with scholarship, weaving in our own experiences. It becomes this beautiful loop, what I call this reciprocal engagement and activated learning. But as we've worked our way around, it's in the classroom, but so are you, if you want to. As an elder in residence, you would serve for 1 semester, which would be 8 weeks. And for a maybe 2-week block out of those 8 weeks, you'll get to interact with the students. They would have heard your story. They would have seen the interviews. They would have had a chance to engage with you through questions. I'll give you those questions and we'll do another interview. You answer those questions. I bring it right back out to them. The cycle continues with the publication, and it goes into the universe. It goes into the hands of your grandchildren. It goes into the hands of your loved ones and your community and your church, that we are looking to start this anthology and this new cycle for cohort 2 immediately. Immediately. While the energy is high, while grandma is still tapping, saying, "Tell my story," while the momentum is here. So, what that means is, if this is something that you're interested in, the time commitment would be 3 interviews over the summer. Our first interview would be scheduled for June 18th. You pick a time, whatever's convenient for you on that day. The next one is July 17th. I don't have my calendar in front of me, but I think it's July 17th. We keep the day wide open. You pick the time. We'll go through the interview. And then we'll do another one in August if we need it. And as we go through each of these steps of the Omni process, some of them will ask you to go out into nature and take some pictures of things that bring you joy. Or you go right there into your special storage space and pull out pictures of things that amplify your joy. And we'll talk about those. So I've already been talking to you for 12 minutes. I hope you get a good feel of what we're looking for. I'm excited. Grandma's excited. Cohort 1 is excited. The research mentees and interns and associates are excited. The world is excited. It is really time to center the stories of Black women, more specifically, our elders. I want to gather your story, not just for you, not just for the students, but for your family. If I didn't have Grandma's Bible, and if I didn't have Grandma's writings inside of Grandma's Bible, I wouldn't have known her story. She would have remained the deepest, darkest secret. Let's shine light on your stories. Are you ready?